How hard is it to find high-quality backpacking gear that fits a modest budget? That's the central question to my latest quest. Earlier this year, I realized that I was out of touch with most backpackers. So, I turned to where most shoppers go when looking for a convenient bargain. For this backpacking trip, I'm outfitted entirely with gear I purchased on Amazon. This is my third attempt. Each round, I've tried to improve and refine my gear until I come away with a set that can truly hold up for regular backpackers. I'm heading out with my dog Kovu high into the San Juans of Colorado, with the goal of putting my budget gear through a real test. San Juans are one of my favorite mountain ranges and it's close to home. And today I'm hiking with a special guest. Kovu and I are heading out for 2 nights here in the San Juans. Gonna have a great little man trip. It's just the boys out here today. So we're climbing a lot. This is a route that actually has quite a bit of elevation gain. The trail marker, the trailhead, shows like 2 Empire State Buildings tall, a couple thousand feet. So what's cool is as we climb, we get to see different zones, going through a bunch of aspen. Beautiful out here. We got the earliest signs of fall coming in, some light yellowing happening on the aspens, and a little bit of red coming in on some of the undergrowth. So pretty great out here. So I'll start by introducing you to the Teton Sports 60-liter backpack. I got this for $78. Initial thoughts are pretty good. It's about as good as the other one, the Nevo Rhino that I had, which is like the same price, $80. I will say the airflow is not as good on this one. I'm definitely sweating a lot more. And there's a few things that I like about this one a little bit more, and there's a few things I like about the other one a little bit more. I'll dive further in the more we go. Woo, you did so good. So the tent that I'm bringing on this mission is the Ampex 2-person backpacking tent. Now, I've been looking through a lot of tents, and I've found some great ones. I've had some really big successes with like $100 tents, $120 tents. This is a little bit more pricey. This is $150. I did miss out on a Labor Day sale that I could have gotten this for $100. So kicking myself for missing that sale, but looks like a cool tent, so let's set it up. All right, so first time setting up the Ampex tent. Looks pretty good. And some of the reasons why I chose this are similar to why I chose the Featherstone. I like that it has this big brow pole, so it's got a lot of interior width. It's 50 inches wide, lots of space. I knew that I was gonna be backpacking with my dog, so I wanted a 2-person tent instead of a 1-person tent, because I wanted that extra space for backpacking with Kovu here. Got plenty of room for the 2 of us to bunk up in here tonight. It also comes with a lot of extra guy lines and like 14, 16 stakes. I actually took out half of the stakes. So I have 8 stakes with me, so I can now still set up the rainfly and some extra guy lines if it's gonna be windy. I also ditched the footprint. So the packed weight is 4 pounds, just over, I think 4 pounds, 1 ounce. And then I ditched a few things. So I think I'm at around like 3 pounds, 12 ounces, something like that, which I think is pretty good for a $150 tent. So I got the FlexTail mattress, but I didn't do the FlexTail pump. And it doesn't come with the pump sack, so I'm regretting that. So this is the FlexTail Zero mattress. It's an R 5.6 mattress, so it's actually really nice on the R value. It's FlexTail, and FlexTail is really famous for their air inflation pumps. And they have a new one that's super light. And I definitely should have picked one up because that would have made this way, way easier. This is actually a lot of air to inflate. It makes sense that it wouldn't come with an air pump sack because FlexTail makes air pumps. So they probably want you to buy those. But this is $150. This is the wide version and the rectangle version. You can actually save a little bit of money by getting the tapered version if you don't want the luxury. But I decided that I really wanted to up my actual sleep comfort on this one, which does mean that I'm spending more money. Correction on the price. I said this was $150. I spent $140 on it. Okay, one more thing that I'm pretty excited about is this Aegis Max sleeping bag. Look at this. First, it's purple. I think they called the color Peri Peri, but I don't think Peri Peri is purple. Correction, Very Peri is actually the color of the year from Pantone in 2022. Meanwhile, Peri Peri is a pepper popularized by Nando's, a South African food chain. But anyway, this is Aegis Max. This is 800 fill power down. It's a 20-degree rated bag with like a 32 comfort rating. I think it's gonna be right around freezing. But one of the things that's kind of cool is it's got dual zippers. So if it is warm out, you can kind of treat this a little bit more like a duvet or a blanket. But I think I'm gonna be pretty much mostly wrapped up in this one tonight. It's a little crinkly, but I think it might actually be a pretty nice sleeping bag. Last time I had I believe like a $60 air mattress and a $120 sleeping bag. This time I have a $140 mattress and a $170 sleeping bag. But for 800 fill power down, that is actually a pretty nice quality down, and it feels very light, and it compacts down really small in this own compression sack that it comes. Plus the color is dope. I'm gonna use this gear for the next couple of nights, and then I'll give you my report on how it all performs. Just in case you're curious, what's the standard? Kovu has been on leash the whole time I'm on trail, and you have to have him either on leash or on voice command. And so he's pretty well behaved, but I will at times have a long leash for just general camp when I'm kind of distracted. But for right now, just letting him hang out off leash. So just in case you're concerned. So this is the Teton Sports Hiker 3700. Great name, by the way. Just really amazing name for the backpack there. The Hiker 3700. This is a 60-liter backpack, and it cost me $78. Despite its kind of like cheapness that it feels, it has some pretty good like comfort built in. So yeah, get it, buddy. Roll around. So in the back, you can see a pretty like standard traditional backpack yoke system here. It's got big padding for your shoulders, a little bit of airflow, padding for your hips. I was carrying about 35 pounds, and it was comfortable. Like, granted, I wasn't hiking for tons of mileage, but at that weight, I think it held up great, and I think it could probably carry a little bit more even. So this is where I'm gonna keep all of my toilet paper, trowel. I'm gonna be hauling out my toilet paper, any used toilet paper out of this environment up here in the high kind of alpine environment. Things break down slow, so I'm gonna be hiking that out. So it's nice to have like its own pocket for all that stuff. This is my first time getting a Teton Sports anything, and honestly, pretty good. Is it pretty? Bang! Okay, good boy. That was a good one. You're a happy boy. You're a happy boy. Kovu. Kovu. Oh, wow. Whoa. There's some cool things about this tent that I think are actually pretty impressive for a $150 tent. And it really reminds me of the Copper Spur, the Big Agnes Copper Spur, which is a great tent. And what it does is it has this like double door awning or double zipper awning, and you can actually like prop these open if you have trekking poles with you here. You can prop one on each side, this highest point open, which I do think is pretty cool. The other thing that I've noticed that I think is good is vents. What's nice is that the vents are at the apex. Now, a lot of times when I see vents that are like midway, I just know, well, it's like, well, all the hot air, all the moisture is gonna be stuck up at the top, and that vent's not gonna do much. All right, so the way this connects in, I think is really cool. It's kind of a creative way to do this. What do you think, Kovu? Do you like hiking? Kovu, do you like being out here? Yeah, look how happy he is. Got just a very beautiful early fall day out here. And technically it's not actually seasonally fall. It's not after September 21st. But because we're so high, right now at about 11,500 feet, all these hillsides are turning yellow because it's definitely starting to become that time of year. And you can see across the way, we've got some of the big red mountains that are famous for the San Juans. There's a lot of minerals out here. There's a lot of mines. And so the mountains have just a lot of stuff going on. Tomorrow, Kovu and I are going to go up. There's a series of lakes that are really spectacular. And tomorrow we're going to hit those up. So I've tried a few things for different options for water filtration doing this Amazon concept. The very first time I used the Sawyer Squeeze, and that worked great, although I really hate the Sawyer Squeeze bag. The filter itself is great, and what a lot of people do is they use these Vecto 3-liter bags because they're so much easier to use. And I decided though that because I was more familiar with the Sawyer Squeeze water filter, that I'd try the Life Straw. And this is an $18 filter, and this is a $26 water bag. I've actually started using this just like in my regular backpacking trips. It's such a handy piece of gear to have. You can literally just use it like a water hauling bag. I really like this. I think the Life Straw so far is okay, is fine, is good, but I think all things considered, probably my ultimate win would be to pair this with the Sawyer Squeeze. I sprung a leak in my Vecto. That's not good. Well, right after I was singing its praises, I just was filtering a liter of water, and I realized that there's a little hole. So I'm kind of hanging out in the tent because it's actually pretty windy outside, and it's just been sustained wind. So I'm just kind of needing a break from the wind. Kovu's enjoying being outside and just letting the breeze pass through his flowy locks like a supermodel. I have a few quick little thoughts on the tent. I'm really actually pretty impressed with it. I think overall it's an excellent tent, especially for the price, and getting a few extra ounces lighter on the weight is nice. To be under 4 pounds, kind of in the mid 3s, is really nice. And there's like some different places to hang lanterns or something like that if you wanted to. There's actually a mystery string over here. I have no idea what this is for, but there's extra pockets. There's like good organization added in here. I'm very impressed. There's like lots of thoughtful details in this tent, and it feels good quality. And I did add some of the guy lines to the tent because of the wind. I think it might get actually pretty breezy, pretty windy tonight. One of the things that I'm learning about budget, especially tents and stoves, I feel like you can really get away with going on the very budget end without sacrificing a huge amount of quality. And those are the two zones where you can also spend like $700 on a tent. And yeah, it's lighter and it's better and it's fancier and it's going to be great quality. But a lot of backpackers don't really need to spend like $700 on a tent. I think if you're through hiking and you are just really needing like every ounce truly matters because you're doing like a bunch of miles in a row, that makes sense. That is where you should spend that money. But if you're just kind of like a casual backpacker who goes out for a few trips a year, not doing huge mileages, like getting a $150 tent or a $100 tent is a great idea. Getting a sub $50 stove, like a $30 or even a $15 stove, is great. Like there's a lot of ways that you can have really actually good gear that isn't hyper expensive. Is that it? Are you hungry? I can't tell if Kova's just being exceptionally affectionate and cuddly or if he wants something else. He's been very playful. I thought he wanted food, but he wanted play. And he's been playing all day here. I threw him on the long leash that I brought so that I can make some dinner and kind of not have my attention on him, but he's not allowing me to not have my attention on him. He's sitting on me. He's claiming me. You can't be in this space, okay? You can't. I need it for cooking. No, no. The opposite of what I just said. All right, maybe I'm not cooking using this flat space. So among my Amazon kit that I've picked up, some of the things have been like truly standout and exceptional. And one of the things that I've really been kind of fallen in love with is this little toques pot. It's, you know, surprising that it took me this long to get into the toques, like the ultralight cook pots. But I have been doing a lot of just freeze-dried meals for a while, which means all I'm really doing is boiling water, which means I don't need anything fancy to just boil some water. So this $26 titanium pot, which I bought for the first round, this is now my third Amazon gear video. If you haven't seen the others, I highly recommend you check them out. But this pot has been just like, I can't beat it. So I just keep reusing it. And then this stove was something that I got on my second Amazon video. And again, I just have been so enthralled with it that I keep using it. And I really want to see if it like fails, because I've been telling people about it. And if you've been around on the channel, you've seen me talk about this stove right here. This is the Camping Moon XD2F. This is very similar to the Soto Windmaster and the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. In fact, I find that they make a pretty perfect crossover. It's got the piezo igniter of the Pocket Rocket Deluxe and the cup and the four-pot pot support, the four-prong pot support that is removable of the Soto Windmaster. But all three of these stoves, this one, the Pocket Rocket Deluxe, the Soto Windmaster, have fuel regulators on it. And they're all right around 3 ounces to 3.5 ounces. So they're all very, very similar. And I've been using this one a lot and I really like it. I keep waiting for something about it to be like, oh, this is why it's $32. This is why it's almost a third of the price of the Pocket Rocket Deluxe and is less than half the price of the Soto Windmaster. But so far, for as much as I've been using it and testing it and trying to see what the differences are, they're so close that to me, like, I'm pretty into just like saving the money of this one, and it's literally just as good. Kovu, you're so cuddly right now, and I know you just want to be close to me, but I gotta make dinner. You sit here. Come here. Oh. One of my other trinkets that I got is this Zero seat, the FlexTail Zero seat. I've been using a bunch of different seats and stools, and I saw this one for 26 bucks, and I thought I'd give it a try. And my first impressions are, it's fine to sit on. It gives you some insulation, some padding. I want a chair. I want to be off the ground, like really off the ground. This is better than nothing, but I think I want my chair. So I learned something interesting about Rainer and Miranda. I just did a big backpacking trip with them across the Alpine Lakes Wilderness in Washington. And they do something at dinner time that I don't do. And I'm curious if I'm the only one. So one thing that I learned about Miranda and Rainer is that they always measure exactly whatever the directions say. And they also tell Siri to set a timer.
Set a timer for 5 minutes.
Right, I got 8 minutes on the clock.
Hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes.
Basically, they follow the instructions, whatever it is, to the T. That is totally opposite from what I do. Right or wrong? I don't know. I'm curious. How many people that are watching this that are like, oh, I measure exactly. Oh, I set the timer and I do not let it go a minute longer and I don't eat it a minute sooner. I'm the type of person, and I've said this before, it's gotten me in trouble in other areas of my life, but I'm just the wing it kind of guy. So I've made a lot of these and I just feel like I know roughly how much water they take. And I feel like I will just kind of guess when feels like it's been long enough. So tell me in the comments below what kind of backpacker you are, if you measure exactly or if you wing it like me. Tonight on the menu, I've got Italian sausage and zesty tomato sauce, farfalle pasta and Parmesan. Oh. Mm-hmm. These guys right here, Pinnacle Foods, they're just the best. I have eaten a lot of backpacking meals in my life, and when I came across these guys, my life got a lot better. It's turning into a rather pleasant evening. I was a little worried. It looked like it was clouding over, and I thought might be in for, and the wind was pretty heavy, so I thought might be in for it tonight. And it still could happen, of course, but it is clearing out. We've got some really delightful pink light on the big red mountain across the way. It's very lovely. Stupid tall tree right in the middle of my shot. Well, it's been an awesome day, and light's really obviously getting pretty dark. And Kovu and I are going to tuck in for the night. I'm really excited for my night in this Ampex tent, the FlexSteel mattress, and the Aegis Max sleeping bag. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's probably my best pairing so far, but the proof will be in the pudding and how well I actually sleep. It's supposed to get down into the 30s tonight, so I think it'll be a good evening for gear testing. Oh, my last piece of gear is this headlamp, which you can't see because I'm using it to illuminate me, but it is a new Nightcore headlamp. It is the NU33. The last one I've been using was the NU25, and the NU25 was a great headlamp. I actually really like that headlamp. The NU25 is a 400 lumen headlamp, which is perfectly bright. That's actually very adequate, more than adequate. But the one thing that I did notice was battery runtime. I felt like could be a little bit better. So I went for the next version up, the NU33, which is a 700 lumen headlamp, which is just overkill. Like, you really don't need that many lumens unless you're doing like a search and rescue, or you're doing some hardy navigating that requires some really precarious terrain. In that situation, I would use the full 700 lumens, but otherwise, just leave it much more dim and you'll get way better battery life out of it. And this one is supposed to have a much bigger battery bank that will last much longer. So that was what I wanted to try out this one. And maybe I'll do some like night shot testing with showing off that 700 lumen beam. But other than that, I'm going to go to bed. Here's our casa for the night. Kovu looking like he's in a scary movie with that under chin illumination. Ooh, spooky. So I did bring a separate sleeping bag for him. So this one is mostly for Kovu, although he does love the air mattress, so he's on mine, of course. But that was part of why my 60-liter bag felt full, was I was bringing 2 sleeping bags. Something soft and warm for Kovu to lay on tonight. Cold? Whoa. Whoa. Well, it was a little bit of a rough night last night. Really, for no real reason. The gear was great. I was comfortable. I think part of it was just backpacking with my dog and kind of feeling like you're on alert. Kovu moves around a lot and was occasionally whining and needing something. He likes the plush things in life, so it's been a while since he's been camping and not been like sleeping on a bed, an actual bed. I was warm, I was comfortable, I was dry. The tent did get exceptionally dewy. Like it's very, very dewy out here. I got up a lot earlier than I thought. Basically, when I was still practically dark, but just a little sliver of light on the sky. But Kovu really had to go to the bathroom. So we're up, and now he's covered in dew, so I don't really want to get back into the tent. So I'm up and probably just make some coffee and start the day. It wasn't a hard freeze, but it did get at least to freezing. So I know that I got in the low 30s, cold enough to freeze. All right, so I'm about to pack up and keep going for the day. And I'm gonna hike up to some amazing lakes. These are world-class lakes, and we're gonna have a good time. All right, let's pack up. One thing I like about this Aegis Max sleeping bag is that it comes with its own integrated stuff sack. And you could pack this down really small. This is like an ultralight sleeping bag. This is priced much more budget friendly than like a comparable 15, 20 degree, more ultralight sleeping bags. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, Kova's got his adorable backpack back on. We're leashed up and we're ready to keep going. So today we're gonna hike another handful of miles. This isn't a huge mileage trail system. It's mostly to get back up into these mountains, get really high altitude, and see some really incredible lakes. Very steep, coming up out of the basin. Got a pretty good climb to the first lake, which is probably the most famous one, which I have been to before. And then the second one, a little quirkier, I haven't been to before. Most people just go to this first one. Oh, these waterfalls are so pretty. Wow. So I thought I'd take a second to let you know how I navigate when I'm going on trails like this, or even how I route plan and find the trails that I want to do. And absolutely my number one way to do that is through onX Backcountry. onX has been a sponsor of this channel for a little while, and I've been using onX legitimately for like the last 3-4 years. And they're the best map app navigation service I've ever come across. They're the most intuitive for me. They also have some like higher end functions for those who want to dive into the weeds a little bit more and take it a little bit more seriously. So I think that this is a fantastic app for you to use if you are a hiker, a backpacker, a rock climber, a mountain biker, a skier. There are so many ways in which this is a very helpful service for you. So I always download these maps, put them on my phone, have them there for offline use so that without cell phone service like I don't have right now, I can still come and navigate, know exactly where I am in relation to the terrain, figure out how much more mileage I have to go, especially when I've got my dog friend with me that can't hike as many miles as I can. So it's a very important part of my safety, my planning, and my execution of backpacking trips like this. So thanks to onX for sponsoring this video. And if you want to save 20% off of a membership, whether that's the premium or elite, both services are amazing. And you can get 20% off by going to the link below and using my little access code. Definitely also helps this channel if you do it. And it's an amazing service that you're going to love and use for your backpacking trips. All right, let's back to hiking now. Whew, that was a big push. climbing up out of that little basin where we camped. Making our way, we're almost up to Ice Lake, one of the jewels of the San Juans. So Cove and I have made it to Ice Lake. Really beautiful place. It gets a lot of traffic. A lot of people come up here, mostly for day hiking, but not a ton of people come up here for backpacking. And I do see some campers. I was thinking originally of camping up here, but above tree line and it's kind of high alpine tundra, the impact can be pretty high for camping. So I wanted to stay lower below tree line and then hike up here in the morning to see in the beautiful light. When the sun is actually like a little bit more vertical, it gets even more blue, which is kind of hard to believe because it's already this like iridescent jasmine blue. Jasmine blue, is that a color? I'm gonna hang out here, take a break, and then there's another lake up the way that's also pretty special. So, pretty cool day out here. So here's the plan. I'm gonna go hike up to Island Lake, and it's another really cool lake, worth seeing. And then I'm gonna give you some of the final thoughts, winners and losers, on my gear for the next round, on round 3 of my Amazon gear foray to finding good budget gear. This was a pendulum. Some stuff was great, and some stuff literally didn't work at all. So stay tuned. Winners and losers coming up. I mean, this is just stunningly beautiful. Well, Cove and I have made it to Island Lake. Actually, this might be a more interesting lake to me, even though the other one has a more rich color. There's just like a presence to this one that feels more intimate and more interesting. And you've got obviously the island in the middle, but you've got this big back bowl surrounding that's providing some interesting, like, just dramatic relief. There's this really gnarly trail coming up across the way up through that pass that looks pretty curious. That looks like a tough, adventurous trail. So, Cole's getting really hot up here. We're up above tree line. And even though it's cool out, the sun is just very intense. So we're gonna carry on along this trail, and then it'll drop back down. And we gotta find some shade for the little guy. This sprung a leak somehow right at this like seam here. So that's disappointing. I'm definitely disappointed with that. But I used one of these patches from my sleeping bag or sleeping mattress to patch it, which does help, but it's still, because it's right here, there's like it's not a perfect seal. So it slows down the leak, but it's not perfect. Why? I thought this was more durable. Okay, I want to do some winners and losers on the gear from Amazon that I purchased, all at a budget, all coming in at under $650. So this is the most money that I've spent on doing this. And I feel like some of the gear has been great and was worth it, and some of the gear actually kind of just failed on me. So before I take everything out of the pack, I want to show you this pack. I would put this in the winter category, but it is not like a true standout. It isn't just like blow my mind. There is enough room for my tent on the outside. Normally I do like to put my tent on the inside, but because I'm carrying 2 sleeping bags here today, one for me, one for Kovu, I needed to put my tent on the outside. There just wasn't room to fit everything on the inside. I actually think that this is actually a surprisingly comfortable back panel. There's a good amount of support, rigidity, structure, and I had about 35 pounds in it, and I was actually very comfortable. So the downside of this is that it's sweaty. Like there's a lot of contact, which makes it more comfortable, but it makes it sweatier. And I think that for $78, a whopping $78, it's a solid pack. Now, this isn't the pack that I would recommend anybody who's truly intending to get into backpacking, like they really want to get in. This is more like, hey, you don't own a backpack, you don't own kit, but your buddies are going on a trip and you really want to join and you can't borrow a backpack. This will get the job done. You can carry a good amount of weight. So if you're only going for like a handful of trips, then it's probably gonna work for you. But if you really want to like start your backpacking career, I would say try to save up a little bit of money and get something that's just a little bit better. Before I set this up, I think it's worth talking about one of the selling points of this Ampex 2-person tent. So it's got this little extra bag that's very handy, very nice. It's just a really clean way to organize a tent. I think this is a much preferred organization method versus just like the standard tube sack. To me, that's the selling point. All right, let's set it up. All right, so I've set up the Ampex tent now a couple of times, and the more that I do it, the more I actually like setting it up. It's really nice. Everything's color-coded here. You've got the red or orange fabric here. It means you need to clip it to the reddish-orange tent pole. And if you've got a white, you attach it to the silver. Generous sized doors. This side does seem to have the tiniest bit extra headroom. So when you're setting it up, I did sleep actually with my head in the foot end. Totally worked, it was fine, but the mesh was just like a little bit closer to my face. And then I'm trying to figure out what this thing is, and I kind of think it's a clothesline, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. And I just find it to be a well thought out tent. It did get very wet last night. Granted, everything, the whole mountain was just soaked with dew. So there was only so much that the tent could do. And I thought it held up pretty well. It did get a little saggy, but I think all things considered, this Ampex tent for $150, definitely a winner for me. I think you can get really good tents for under $200, and I would say that this is one of them. All right, let's talk about a couple other things that I think are winners. The Aegis Max sleeping bag is actually, I think, surprisingly good. So last night it got down below freezing. It got down colder than I expected it to, and I was warmer than I expected to be. The comfort rating on this is about 30, 32 degrees. And it was right there, and yet I was actually warm. There was a point in the night when I had to open this up and let some heat out because I was toasty. So where I think this bag is actually really good is that it uses high quality down. It's 800 fill power down while still being $170. I think that's actually really quite good. It packs down really small. It's a light sleeping bag, and I think it could be like a real sleeping bag that somebody who is on a tight budget, but it was a backpacker that backpacks a lot, could use this sleeping bag, and not just somebody that's like looking for, oh, I just need something to get me by. The general sleep, like your sleeping bag and the sleeping mattress, are the two things that I think are absolutely worth springing for if you can afford it. The more you spend there, the more comfortable you're going to be, the better that you are going to sleep, and then the better that you're going to associate backpacking and camping with having a good time because you're sleeping great. I would definitely put this Aegis Max sleeping bag in the win column. I think it did great. The one caveat I would say is that I probably wish I would have gotten the size large. And if you are 6 feet tall, maybe 5'11", or you kind of have like broader shoulders, definitely if you're thinking about this one, get the bigger size. This is the regular, and I feel like it was just just a hair too small for me, and I wished I'd gotten the size up. But all other things considered, I thought that it was great. I liked the hood. I really liked this double zipper. And one of the reasons why I liked the double zipper is if it's warmer out, you can just use this like a blanket or like a duvet cover. But also what I found is that I could have both of these just a tiny bit unzipped. And then if I was facing either side, I had a good space for breath to go out of my sleeping bag and not just breathe it into the back of my sleeping bag. 170 bucks. I feel like that's a good price. It's the most I've spent on a sleeping bag so far, and it's also the best sleeping bag I've used from Amazon so far. Just as a side note, I ran into a thru hiker that did the whole Arizona Trail using an Aegis Max sleeping bag, and that was where I got like the turned on in my brain to be like, oh, I need to check them out. And they look actually like surprisingly quality bags. And then the other thing that I thought was a winner also was the FlexTail Zero mattress. It's a very comfortable air mattress, and I think part of why I was warm last night was because of this R5.6 sleeping mattress. And if you're unfamiliar with what that term means, it's measuring the insulation value. This is basically something that you could put directly on snow and you would be warm enough in. It's considered like a 4-season rating. That is hard to come by in a mattress this cheap, this inexpensive. I also like that these two outside tubes are just a little bit bigger, which creates a kind of like a little bumper to kind of keep you on the mattress throughout the night. And I do like that. Personally, I'm a fan of the vertical baffles that are oriented this way. I find them to be comfortable. Some people don't love that, but I think most people find this to be a slightly more comfortable air mattress. The ding that I have on it is that it's bulky. When you're paying less, you're mostly gonna get bulkier stuff. Even if it's good performing, it's just bulkier. And I think that that's really where I see here. This is absolutely worth, to me, double the price of the climate pads that I've been using on the first ones. I think it's more than double, more than twice as good as it is essentially double the price. So to me, that's a win. A few more winners and losers, and this time I'm not really sure what to put this Knock Vecto 3-liter bag, because I really want to like this. And generally speaking, I do like it. And I use this all through the Alpine Lakes Wilderness, and it really helped me haul water. I literally hauled 3 liters of water in this in my backpack without any leaking. And yet here, I sprung a leak. I don't know what happened. So I got to ding them for the durability, but the actual like usefulness of this bag is so good. Like, it's just way better of a water bag than any other option, like especially like the Sawyer Squeeze bags. They're pretty terrible. And this one you can attach multiple different filters on. I can't call it a loser because I think that these are so well respected in the outdoor community, and I've actually had them and used them and had good luck with them. I would say that I'm probably going to go back to the Sawyer Squeeze instead of the Life Straw, but at 18 bucks, good price. These are in the middle for me. I'm not going to throw them in the winner category, and I'm not going to throw them in the loser category either. But I do have losers. Let's start with the Nightcore. This is actually a surprise to me. I was fully expecting this to be a great headlamp, and I think that I just got a bad headlamp, because when I got this, I opened it up out of the box, it turned on, and then I threw it on charge to get it to a full charge, and then something glitched out and it wouldn't turn on or off, or it just wouldn't turn on at all for like 6 hours. I don't know what happened, and I just like let it be for a while, and then I came back to it and it turned on. I brought it on this trip thinking that it was fully charged because it had been on the charge for a long time, and then I hadn't used it, and it was on empty. So I really only got like about 5 minutes of use out of this headlamp before it died on me. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, because I think that's just a faulty glitch in the Nightcore, because again, this is a well-respected headlamp. If I could just say, based on strict design, I think I'm going to go back to the NU25, even if this worked perfectly, because it's just a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, and for most backpacking trips, it's going to be fine. Now, if I'm doing a trip that's going to be like maybe 4 or 5 days long, and I'm going to be doing some orienteering or navigating, difficult stuff, then I'm probably going to want something like this for extended battery life, except for the fact that this only lasted 5 minutes. This is a loser for me.
Le who? The her.
Gonna have to look into returning this one. Take that for what you will. This is another loser for me. I got the flex tail seat, trying to come up with different options for seating that aren't just chairs. This was 26 bucks, just basically an inflatable pad, and I just thought it was a waste of money. It was windy and blowing around, so if I wasn't sitting on it actively, I had to manage it, and it was just wanting to blow away, and that was pretty annoying. And then it also was only just like a little bit more comfortable than just sitting on the ground. So this I really wouldn't recommend to anybody. I thought that was kind of a product that just, if you're gonna get a chair or a seat, get a chair or a seat. This is chintzy. I don't know, kind of just feels like junk. All right, my friends, that's it from Kovu and I. I hope you've had a great time following along on this adventure. Hope you learned something. Hope you found something helpful or useful. And if you have a comment or a question, if you want to ask Kovu a question, just hit me up in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you're not already subscribed, please do like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to this channel. It's one of the most helpful things you can do for any creator or channel that you enjoy. So I'd love to see you sticking around, and we've got more amazing stuff to come. I'm going to enjoy the San Juans of Colorado. That's it from me. I'm Eric. This is Kovu. We're signing off here in the San Juans. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later, everybody.